Hi everyone. Currently at 0 viewers though, so but hello and welcome to the very first Polyarc live dev stream. I think we will be recording this so that we can post it to our channels later. So if you have missed it, oh, we got a viewer, sweet. Hello, hello, Stray Catalyst. Yeah, we're gonna be posting this back later on our Twitch channel and our YouTube channel, so you can watch this later. But today is all about environment art. We are going to be working on a Moss room today, a room for Moss 2. So this is really exciting for us. We are going to be actually developing some environment art for a game that isn't out yet, and we don't even have a release date yet. At least we haven't announced anything. So it's a pretty cool opportunity for us to just kind of show off some behind the scenes, day in the life sort of stream for what we do. So let's hop right into it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask anytime. We'll be watching the chat. Happy to answer any questions you have. We also have some questions that will be just talking about the game from our marketing team. So we'll be just doing a little bit of kind of Q&A there as well. But for the most part, I'm just gonna be working. So let's just get into it, right? So we use Unreal Engine to make Moss 2. Right now, this is the editor. What you're looking at here. This is one of our we call them sort of levels, I guess. I think that's the term in Unreal. We oh, Straight Catalyst is Val. Hey Val. But we yeah, we use Unreal Engine, and we're in obviously a snowy environment. That's new for Moss, and so it's cool to be able to show this off. And so this is a I want to say we're going to try not to spoil anything. So that'll be we're not going to announce anything. We're not going to be you know, spoiling anything. Hopefully for anybody who's you know, excited to play Moss 2 and wants to get the full experience. You know, if you really care about spoilers, maybe look away. But we're not going to be spoiling anything besides like, hey, here's what this level looks like. So yeah, we've got a pretty simple level here. Let me go ahead and see. I'm going to turn off a bunch of the other levels that we're not working on. So that looks good. And one of the first things that I will do here, so the state of this level is another artist has worked on this for a little bit, has done a quick pass, but this is essentially fresh out of design's brains. So the design team has done a stab at this room. I actually don't think I have the right thing visible. It's a very simple room. Quill will be entering from the left and moving across this bridge to the right. So really this room is all about setting up the approach to this castle. And so no combat. It's really just a exposition room. We like to call them, geez, what do we call them? Vista rooms. Oh my gosh. Okay. Vista rooms. There we go. So it's a Vista room. So we were just going to be making a room so the player can soak in this awesome environment. And we are here in the studio. We are located in Seattle, and so we are working in the office a little bit for people who are vaccinated. But yeah, we're here and we're working. Okay, so I think this bridge is actually, yeah, is a reference point I haven't played this room lately, so I actually might need to just hop in here and play it because this looks a little bit different from the last time I looked at it. Huh. Or maybe there is no device in this room anymore. This is great. This is game development happening live. Looks like there's been a little bit of a change, so I'm just gonna hit up the designer that I'm working with on this space and double check to see that that device is no longer in here. And it sounds like that is expected, so that's great. This simplifies the room quite a bit. So how about we start making some art? What do you think? So first things first, I'm going to start grabbing the pieces that are here. And this is actually, because we've been working on the game for a while, there's some finished art in here. So that's great. This will speed things up quite a bit if I can just grab things that already exist. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab all of these assets just by selecting them, just a few of them. I don't need to select them all, just to kind of get the general vibe of the area, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this to 3ds Max, where I can work a little bit more on the geometry, because what you see here is pretty much this is kind of like a block-in, you could say. We took the bridge from somewhere else. You know, this space already existed in the Skybox, but that's kind of why it's already so well developed, or at least has art in it already. A lot of times levels, when they come from design, they're just cubes, and this is obviously much further along than that. So I'll export this to an FBX, and I'll save this in a folder. Let's see which folder. Do you work? So Stray Catalyst asks, do you work on where the player can go in VR too? Yeah, so the player is in this room. So if let me just save this file really quick, or actually I'll just cancel that. So if I turn on the design layer, you can actually see this is the camera. This is the game camera that the player will view the world from. So you know, all of this environment, if they turn around, they'll be able to see it. So I'll have to finish all of that as well. But the player will spawn in here, and you know, I'm working on it in 2D now, just because it's all of my software is 2D, and I will probably hop in at some point in 3D just to double check some things. But at this early stage, I can just go straight into 3ds Max and start working on the shells, like the big forms. Okay, so I need to make a new folder for this level. One that's named correctly. Okay, so I've exported that to 3ds Max, and if we open up Max, and now we'll import it. I'm gonna do that over here. Sorry if you're hearing those notifications. I'll mute those really quick. This is our very first stream. We're very excited. So Lincoln Davis asks, how long does it take to design a single room? Well, it can take a long time depending on the room. Our more complicated puzzle rooms, those certainly take a long time. Just it's a lot of iteration. So sometimes it's not something that you can just take all the way to being finished. You have to kind of take it to a certain point, but then stop and wait for play testing to sort of test your assumptions and to make sure that the player is understanding what to do and that your design is actually, you know, working as intended, and that just takes time. So our more complicated rooms can take between 1 to 2 weeks, and then really, really simple rooms like this one, they can go by in just a day. So it really depends on the complexity of the room and how many disciplines also are working in that room. How far in development is book 2? Asked by a Cube Dude. We are pretty far in development, right? We are. We announced the game a little while ago, and we're closing. We're in the closing phase, so we are near the end. I would say we're at that like 80% point where the game is like largely we understand what it is. We're just kind of executing and just getting the game made. So. Yeah, about 80% maybe. Like we're pretty close. We're pretty close. More details on that in the future. Oh, Moss is my favorite experience, VR experience, says Cube Dude. Awesome, that is so great. We're so glad to hear that. We're very glad that you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to work on, and it's a very it's been a very fun project for sure. Okay, so let me pick up where I was. That was here. Okay, so now we're going to open up all of the stuff that we just exported from the editor. And it's going to look not great, but that's okay, because really all we want to do is just work on the geometry. So this is actually a great view for us to now start editing and you know, really working on getting this area to feel finished. And a lot of that comes down to integrating the assets together, reducing seams. One thing about this bridge is it's broken on that side. I don't think we want that, so I'll probably just mirror this bridge and maybe build a little bit of a landing connection on either side, just to reinforce the bridge shape. And in fact, let's start on that first. I think since the bridge is like the central point, this will be a good place to start. So we've got a bridge down there and a bridge up here. So we'll need to, first things first, take all of this geometry and break it apart, or at least break it from the other piece. So I'm going to fly through a lot of this, but if you have any questions, like I'm not going to get too into the nitty gritty of the details, because I do want to keep moving. But if you do have questions about general process, please shout them out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just kind of isolate this piece, and I'm going to zero out the transforms on it so I can work on it a little bit more easily. Because I'm working on it in isolation to start, because I kind of know what I want to do with it, and it's easier to work on things in pieces as opposed to working on everything all at once. And because I want to move quick, I'm not going to make this super precise. I'm just going to kind of, and actually I think this angle is kind of important. If we go back to the scene, it looks like, no, please don't do that. Oh, it's Unreal is being helpful. Let's see what's happening. So I didn't save this, did I? I think I crashed. Oh boy. I believe we have crashed. Exactly, Cube Dude. It's at an angle in the scene, so that is an angle that I actually do want to, like, yeah, like you enter lower and you exit higher, so that is an important angle that I do want to keep. And so now that I've kind of got this flattened out, though, I'm going to add some sides to it, and I'm just going to make a little bit of a, I'm going to add some thickness to this and just kind of give it more of that like old school, like European, you know, stone bridge over a creek sort of vibe. It's one of the things I love about working on this game is it's all of the motifs, you could say, the features of the game, the style, and the things that are in the game are all very fun. They're all very, you know, it's fantasy, but it's also, you know, there's the scale difference between the, you know, the player and Quill and the world. It's like, yeah, it's like working in a fantasy, like in a fairy tale every day. Which is pretty cool. So now I'm just gonna kind of make a general bridge shape out of this. I'll definitely have to finesse it, but really I just want the basic shape. Actually, one thing I do like to do in this instance, because I think I want a perfect circle on the bottom. Maybe something like that. There's gonna be some people who are screaming at me right now because they don't like the way I'm doing this, but this is how I like to make arches. I make a cylinder. Oops. Kind of give it some dimensions that I like. I turn it into an editable poly, which basically just means I can then start like deleting faces from it, and then I'll stitch it to this other asset, this other object. Flip. And then this, I actually can just delete these faces. I think I moved them. Yeah, good enough. Okay. Cool. And now I'll just take this piece, attach it, and then let's see. Make these, oops, is it this? There we go. Make all of those verts flush. Just line it up like so. And then I'll just close these gaps. And this is not good modeling. So don't try this at home. Don't do this at your job. They might get angry at you. Just kidding. It's fine. Really all we want is just the shape. We don't really care about anything else. Just as long as we get the shape we want, that's good. Cool. So that's giving me like a bridge shape that I like. So now, oh yeah, I think I want to mirror this because I don't want that broken edge. It will mess with my UVs, which we'll probably get to that later, but... Oh, hey, Rob Rengel, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Lincoln Davis asks, what comes first for the team when designing the room, gameplay or artistic vision? It can actually be both. I think when we're like thinking back to the beginning of Moss 2 and a lot of the rooms that were sort of in their early stages there, there was a lot of harmony between narrative, the vision for what's happening in the game, and then the actual like moment-to-moment gameplay. And so there's definitely a lot of times where like it's like, hey, like Quill's feeling this, so we want to have a room and a space that reinforces what she's feeling, and we want to fully immerse the player in that emotion. And so are there ways that we can design our spaces, and are there ways that we can create the art in a way that really double down on what's happening with Quill, because Quill is the center of the game. Your relationship with Quill is what the game's all about, and so that's kind of the starting point. So there are definitely more. There are some times though where it's like, hey, like this is a boss room, and we know that gameplay is paramount. So that room will sit in gray box for a long time as the boss is being developed, because we just need flexibility. We just want to be able to work quickly without having to like move a bunch of things around, or it can lead to burnout, I think, when you've got to a scene that's really complicated that you're trying to iterate on. What am I doing? This is different. So now I'm just gonna mirror this. Okay. Does it add an actual... Okay, no, what I need to do first is reset the transforms, which I said I was going to do. Do this. So this will make it so that when I mirror it, it will mirror on the actual world axes. Perfect. And yeah, the architecture of book 1 was really cool. The town before the castle was super neat. I love that vibe of seeing the rodent village and seeing the villagers, and like I just want to live there, right? Like I just want to hang out and go talk to all of those villagers and eat an acorn or something. Okay, so now that we've got these pieces kind of roughly what I want them to be, I'm gonna superimpose them back over the top of where the bridge was before. Acorns are quite a delicacy in the in the mouse village. Okay, that looks good to me. And let's put these in their own folder. Got to stay organized. We'll call that folder bridge. I'm going to hide it, and I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to... I don't need these anymore, so I'm going to delete them. Great. Whoops. Accidentally moving things around. Just make sure that that looks good. Cool. I'm just going to slap some UVs on this for now. We use static lighting in Moss. Most VR games use static lighting. That means the lights and shadows are baked into the scene, and so there's a step that the developers do, that the artists will do. Will we'll have to bake the lights, and so that just takes time. And you have to have UVs for that, because UVs are basically it's how the textures are laid across the surface of geometry. And so when you bake lightings, the Dr. Bubbles 203 says, would love to see book 2 come to Steam VR. Yes, us too. We will be working on that just as soon as we ship the PSVR version. So we'll be trying to get the game on as many platforms as possible. It's something that we do care a lot about. Oops. Take a drink. Okay, so what was I doing? Yeah, I had some UVs on this guy. I like to just do like either, maybe that's maybe a little too tight. Gotcha. Exactly, I've just been chatting so much. Okay, and now what I will do is, just so we can see how our UVs are looking on our mesh, I'm just going to create a quick little shader that just has one of our stone textures that we like to use on it. So let me grab that. In fact, it's probably easier to get that from the scene. Let's see. Open up this shader. It's this texture. The best bricks ever. Such good bricks. Oh yeah. And then open source. And so now I'm going to bring that texture into 3ds Max, because we need to be able to see how our textures are lining up. Boop. There it is. Got some colors on this, and then this is a mixture of a lot of different shaders. So I'll make another material here for our trim, because that's what the posts, that's what these posts and these railings are made out of. And that is this material, right? Ah, it's not right there. It's over here. It's this material. How do you know that the bridge is the right scale for Quill? Great question. This is actually probably not the right scale for Quill, if I'm being honest. Just eyeballing it, I think these pieces are a bit... Do I have a Quill figure to put in the scene? Yes, we do. And that's exactly what I was just about to show you. But yeah, that is really important. Scale. And having scale reference, that's one of the first things that I learned in architecture school, is gotta have your scale reference. So there's Quill. She's just a little guy, just a little girl, just a little mouse. So yeah, I think we'll want to make sure that this doesn't feel like out of scale. We'll adjust those details. So good catch. And so first things first, I want to get this trim material in 3ds Max. Let's see, where would that be? It's been a second since I've worked on this content, so I have to re-find everything. There we go. So we got the best bricks in video games, and now we've got the best trim in video games. I'm very humble, as you can tell, but I didn't make these textures, so I can say that. Looks like it's been UV mapped. That's fine. That's fine. We're gonna remake this stuff anyway, so. Or rather, we're gonna grab these assets and redo it. So, so we've got, let's just go ahead and save this as Mountains 035. Perfect. And cool. So we've kind of just got a little bit of progress here with our bridge shape. Let's see if that actually works in the editor. So now I need to export this back to Unreal Engine. No, not, is that right? Yeah, perfect. So typically when we start working on a level, it's just one big piece of geometry like this. But as I go, I'm going to be breaking things apart into smaller and smaller bits. And sometimes, and usually what we like to do is we like to have as many of those bits as possible be reused, you know, unless it's like a hero asset that is really important. But we don't want to remake everything every time. So we want to try to, and you'll see what I mean. Like I'll use these pieces. I've got these pieces saved out elsewhere. And I'll just import them in and just scale them down. So there's still some work involved in getting everything to fit, but we do want to reuse as much as we can. I guess first things first though. Oh wait, no, this is a second, that's a different asset. So I can actually just delete this. Because this is one of the reasons the scale is so big and the objects are so chunky is that it was intended to be a Skybox asset. This whole scene was actually intended to be a Skybox scene from a different room. And Chris Alderson, one of the artists on the team, he built all of this out and made this super believable scene. And we were like, wow, like we just want to go here. And then through our play test, discovered that we actually needed a little pacing moment before we get into the castle, and so it was like a kind of a happy accident that we landed here and have this much to work with already. So, and because I'm working at everything's at 0, 0, so that just makes it easier for me when I'm in the editor. When I say everything's at 0, 0, you can see that here the location is at 0, 0, 0, so that this mesh actually has a pivot point of wherever 0, 0, 0 is in the world. But because I already have this in the place that I want it, and there's no real disadvantage to, at least that I know of, to doing it this way. It's just one-to-one. I just import and export and it's good to go. So let's finish this bridge because I'm really feeling it. I feel like this piece here really helps ground it in the world. I think the only problem now is Quill is just too small. So let's shrink down some of these details and reapply some of the UVs in their correct way. And I think we might be able to move on after that. Oops, and I minimized my stream, so let's see. Did I miss anything? Lincoln Davis asks, how is making art for a VR game different than making art for other games? There's definitely a lot more, I think, play testing that needs to be done in a VR game. There's very different considerations that I've certainly had to learn. Making a VR level feel comfortable, like making sure that something isn't too far away or too close to you. There's this odd sensation of like, oh my gosh, there's something clipping into me, and it just feels very strange and like off-putting. Or sometimes you're like, whoa, like that thing, like I turned and looked and it was like right in my face. There's a lot of like nudging that has to go on there. And like I used to work on Destiny, and Destiny was like huge open world, you know, tons of abilities, and Moss is a tiny little interaction range. Like everything has to occur in a, you know, in essentially a box that is as big as your arms can move, right? And so that's just been, it's just a totally different game and totally different level design. And it's been really fun to kind of be challenged in a way that was like unexpected. Like with Destiny, it was like, it's so big, like that's the challenge, is just making it work. And then with Moss, it's the opposite problem. Like everything is so small. How do you fit, how do you get the elements that you want in the room to fit together? And that may be the biggest thing, is we've had to simplify a lot of rooms because we have so many ideas and so many, we want to do so many things in a room, and then we find out that it's just so challenging to get everything to work together. So then we've been spreading things out a little bit. But I think that, that is just game development in a way, where we learn and figure out some of our designs weren't hitting the way that we were expecting them to, and so we react and make changes. So let me go ahead and import the assets that I have that can allow me to redo these pieces. Oh, that's the wrong project. I think it's 70. Is that right? 75? There we go. Oops. Import this file, and it's going to be the right railings. Where'd they go? Where are those railings? Huh. All right. Never mind. I could probably just open another file and just get them right from the max file themselves. Go ahead and apply some of these shaders to this object so it doesn't look so, well, that's not, I don't know if the scale is right on this one, guys. might need to do that one again. Okay. So while that is loading, I will go ahead and just model this. So one downside of going in and out of the editor is that you do get a lot of these funky triangulation, but we'll fix that. Okay. Detach this as railings. But now we'll just focus on this piece, and I kind of like this detail, but I think the detail itself is a little bit big. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just grab this shape . So I'm going to create a shape from this selection. Yeah, linear is good. Oh, there we go. And then what I can do is it gonna let me select the loop? No, it won't. So I gotta select this by hand. That's all right. I will do it. Don't think that I won't. I'm just enough of a mad lad to click every one of these. And then we're gonna create a shape. So now we've got two shapes. We've got the shape of the railing, and then we've got the shape of the bridge. And what we're going to do is we're going to loft or sweep this shape along that curve. This is like, it's almost like it's like one of those dreams where you have to you have to like present in front of your class. Except this one isn't a nightmare. It's going really good. I hope. Okay. So editable spline. I need to close this little gap here. So I need to create a line in between these two verts. Yes. I'm just going to go ahead and weld all of the verts just to make sure we've got a closed shape. And because this is at an off angle, it might sweep in a weird way, but we're going to just go ahead and see. So if I just sweep it now, it would be the same shape as we had before. But now what I can do is I can grab this thing and I can scale it down. And now we can sweep it. I think we can sweep it. We can sweep it, right? Yeah, we can sweep it. No. Sweep. And then we can pick a custom shape. What happened? Okay, so looks like the pivot point is in a weird spot. Is it because this is in a weird spot? Or is it because this is in a weird spot? Let's reset. Oops. I want to reset this. Sometimes when your transforms get weird, you can just get unexpected results. And so resetting transforms on things can help. Just kind of yeah, that is at a weird angle, huh? That's all right. Let's just get this back to something a little bit more reasonable. And it doesn't need to be exact. No one will ever, it'll be impossible for you to ever notice if it's not lined up. So, and really, this is a simple shape. The way of me doing this is not great. I'm realizing I might abandon this soon and just do a sweep and model this from scratch. Since it is such a simple shape, let's just do that. We don't need to continue to try to get that to work. So we've got a little bit of a bevel. So this tool I'm using here is called Swift Loop. Really handy tool if you want to like make new edge loops. And I'm gonna delete these faces because I want to be able to select things in strips. Oops. So we get this a little bit of a, no, that's not it. Huh. Is it because yep, that's why. Zoop, nope. Fine. We'll extrude it. enough. Okay, and now let's start mapping this piece. Whoops. So yeah, that's a little bit finer of a tolerance, right? Like, it's about half as big. And actually what I should do here is I should also import a scale reference into this scene too, so I can just double check it here. Gonzo in his jammies says, "You make the best game I've ever played. Thank you so much for making Moss." Gonzo, thank you so much for playing the game. You are so appreciated, and thank you so much for your kind words. We have loved making Moss, and it's a pleasure to be able to bring the game to you, so thank you for playing it. What was I doing again? I can't remember. I was importing something. No, I'm not. Not anymore! Oh, right, I was importing Quill. Derp. Let's do that. All right, let's get the Quill in here. Doink. There she is. Just kidding. There she is. Actually, I don't even need all this other stuff in here. It is bothering me a little bit that these are rotated up. Maybe I will just keep these pieces and just scale them, but that means I have to remap them, which I'm not super excited about. What would Mike Jensen do? I ask that question a lot. Mike Jensen is our art director. Just gonna give this some basic UVs to start. And then I'm gonna unwrap the UVs. And this is my process for mapping trims. So I've got some just basic UVs here, and really, actually, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna collapse these into one UV island, and then I'm gonna find the edge that I want the seam to be on, somewhere not visible to the player. I break that, and one of the nice things about this workflow is, yeah, you got to delete these caps, but now you've got just a strip of polygons. And with 3ds Max's Unrelax tools, you can make this into a perfectly straight. Actually, do this and make it into a almost perfectly straight strip with very, very few, with not a lot of tearing. And then if you really want to, if you're like me and you like having things be very orderly and like matching up, you can actually go in and, like, if there's a few important edge loops, you don't need to do it to every single one, but you can go in and start zeroing out, or at least not zeroing out, but just flattening some edge loops in here. And there's a lot of UV tools that I'm sure people can recommend, yeah. That's how I like to do it. Lincoln Davis asks, roughly at which point in the game will we see this space? So this is about halfway through the game, I want to say. The Moss 2 is, just like Moss 1, is broken into chapters, and this will be in Chapter 4. And so that's that is in the middle. Okay. And so now let's pick what trims we want this to be. I think, what do we have in the, let's just open up the asset. I know there's a mesh that has this railing on it at the correct scale. think it's in Castle. Castle 10. On the left side. No, it's not Castle 10. It's, let's try, Conservatory 60? Yeah, yep, that's where these are. So here's the native scale. Here's the scale. Mike made these assets, and so if we can get them kind of close to this, I think that would feel pretty good. So we'll scale this down a little bit, and yeah, we'll just scale it first and see if it needs anything else. It might just be a scaling thing. Okay, so now that we've got this strip of UVs kind of roughly doing what we want it to do, I think I'll probably take this top piece. Break that out into its own piece. Straighten these out. I feel like this is kind of like a runner because it's going to hold the it's going to hold the pillars. So giving it some kind of like a track, something like that, I feel like works pretty well. Could possibly maybe a bigger track. Let's see how that looks with quill next to it. Yeah, it's big stones. It's a big bridge, so I think that works. And then for these pieces, it can just kind of be whatever. Don't need to worry too much about what those are. But I will straighten them out. I think something without panel lines in it. We've got to trim in this sheet that has just like a straight run through. I kind of like that one. Yeah. I think that looks pretty good. And let's see. Let's copy it. Delete the one on this side. Copy this one over. Not that one. This one. There we go. How's that line up? Pretty good. Okay, so let's actually just keep working on this. Let's get the railings figured out. How about that? That'll be a big step. And we might be done on the bridge after this. I think I want to keep this piece because I like that it's in the right position. And I can delete these because I'm going to replace those with another piece. And then these guys. Why are you rotating like that? Oh, it's because you're local. Or not. That's so annoying. I guess I'll just detach it. There we go. That worked. Because I want this to be upright. I think it's bothering me just a little bit that it's kind of pointed down. It's like pointed away, like the angle of all of these pieces. So I'm going to fix that. And then, gosh, the UVs are already done on this thing. So what I can do is just take this, open the source for where this guy is. And this is called Stone Rail Post Tall. Perfect. Ta-da! There we go. Stray Catalyst asks, do you have an art budget of like polys for things you make in an environment? Absolutely, yes. I think we said we want rooms to be under 350,000 polys for PSVR. And that's a pretty good budget, I think. The style of Moss helps. We don't need to have a ton of geo on everything. Like we can get away with pretty simple geo. And textures honestly sometimes look better when they're a little bit fuzzier, less crisp. It just kind of helps the soft, like this very comfortable scene, right? And crunchy detail. Haven't really been able to make it work yet. At least I haven't. I guess in the snow we have some like crunchier detail, but that's all like, I feel like that's all, it's like all white. It's just like, it's like crunchy normal map detail. So let's go ahead and just scale that up to how big it is in the block out, and then we can get creative by like, maybe we can replace this nubbin on top with like a dish, like a brazier dish. Is that the right word? Brazier? I don't know, one of those dishes that you put incense in. We've got some of those that I can put on there, and like we'll put some logs in there and make it look like maybe, oh, that'd be cool, right? Like yeah, the nubbins. It'd be cool to have like, I feel like have like the pillar and then have like a dish, like a gold dish, and then maybe they'd put like, yes, concave nubs. Yes, exactly. We'll and we'll put some like some logs in it, like they used to have fire in it, like to welcome visitors and stuff. Like that's a pretty grand image, I think, of like looking down this gate and having like fire lit up on the bridge. Cool. We're doing it. Goodbye, nubbin. It's nice knowing ya. I might make another block to sit under this too. Maybe it actually sits more like here. And I could like trim that off so this ends in like a nice stately kind of like block. So what are we doing on time? So we're about an hour in. I spent a lot of time on this bridge. I do want to get to back into the Unreal Editor before too long. Just gonna make a little bit of a stand for this to sit on. And for now, I'm not gonna worry too much about this because this will be a mostly clipping into the ground. Where's that button? Oh, it's not. doing what I want to do. It's okay. Maybe a little bit bigger. Let's try 800 and then just try to like find a good trim. Nothing too fancy. That's fine. I'll have to fix this later. That's okay. It just gives me kind of like a general idea of how I want that to work. Cool. I feel like that is working. So now I can copy this around. Make this an instance because any updates that I make to this object, I want them to carry across every placement of this thing in Max. Clone this over like that, like so. And this thing, I think I'm probably just going to keep this piece and just scale it. Scale the railing to be a little bit smaller and move it to be lower. I wonder if I can Quill chillin' on the bridge. Yeah, I really want to start getting to placing some assets in there. That's the real fun part, is when you've got all of the modeling and UVs done, and you can just kind of, maybe we just gotta do another stream, guys. I don't know. Cube Dude likes it. Let's go. The illuminated castle on the hill does look sweet. Can we just bask in that glory for a moment? It's pretty awesome. One of these days, we need to get Chris or Mike on a live stream. Yeah, and the Northern Lights too. This is like a little bit of a spoilery thing, but it's, you guys trust me, it's so much better in VR. Like, maybe Shooting Star. Did you see one? Oop. Definitely not a satellite. It's very snowy, beautiful scene. Okay. So let's go ahead and relax this a bit. What is that doing? Is that screwing things up? Maybe. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do my little trick, delete the caps. Goodness gracious. That looks pretty thick. Let's just kind of bring that edge down so we can see more of Quill. And I might actually get rid of these bevels on the side, just so I can make it a little bit flatter. Can I quadrify it? That works. Yeah, sometimes it does that. There's a tool I was trying to get rid of all the like You can see all of these like lines. Makes it a little bit harder to model on, but sometimes there's a tool you can use to get rid of that stuff, but it didn't work. So I'm just gonna select them manually. Okay, that's great. And then grow. Perfect. And we don't need back faces on this because we've got that new piece that we made to go under the bridge. And now I just need to make that wider. Just nudge that down a little bit more because we want to see Quill as much as we can. And this guy, I'm gonna remake it. It's no big deal. It's gonna be extra simple. Is Book 2 releasing exclusively on PSVR or is it a multi-platform release? So Book 2 will release on PSVR first, exclusively. And then we'll be working as hard as we can to bring it to the other platforms ASAP after that. So we've been talking about how to accomplish that. So we're making some progress, but nothing to announce yet. Yeah, PSVR is great. I mean, do you, Cube, do you still play your PSVR and do you still dust it off and give it the old run it through the old ringer? That's not even a phrase of speech. Yeah, that's good. Made some edits to that, so I'm gonna move it over here. Let's make it an instance. Very good. And then now just UV map this. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, in 2021, you've got a lot of options as a VR enthusiast. But PSVR, I mean, I think is always going to have a soft spot, at least in our hearts, because of our relationship with Sony and Moss being the first game that Polyarc's ever shipped. We playtest on the PSVR here in the studio, and it's always a nice surprise being like, wow, this is a great headset. Of course, resolution hasn't held up, but that's how can you fault it for that? Like, this technology didn't exist yet. So yeah, Astrobot, we played Astrobot in the studio. It's so good. It's so good. We were all like looking at it and being so impressed. Shout out to, I can't remember, PlayStation Studios does that, or Studio Liverpool? Studio Liverpool did Playroom, I want to say. Japan, Team Asabi, yeah, Asobi. Yeah, they're pros. Hats off to them. Whoops. Apologies. I'm going to rotate the stones so they run the length of the path, just to continue the motion. Okay, so that's good to go. And now what I will do is just draft out a little bit of a spline. Let's hide everything that is not in the bridge layer. You're gone. So I'm going to draw a line for the railings. I think, yeah, I'll just do it like this. Yeah, I probably want to intersect in the bottom part, and it can be pretty thin. So this one we're going to go back to our friend Sweep. Hello, Sweep. Make a cylinder. We want a little bit of size to it. Actually, a bar is fine. Because I want it to be, I liked how the other railing was wider. We don't want it to be too thin to where it looks like delicate. Still needs to read as stonework. And then here we can take the endpoints and turn them into, give them some control points. So now I can actually make a curve. If I select the right thing. Go back to sweep. It looks a little, it's not quite even. Let me. Looks pretty good. I mean, if there was a taller rodent walking down this bridge, and like I'm imagining there'd be carts and things, so you'd want a high railing. I'm pretty sure this is to rodent code. I didn't take the test in rodent code, but I studied it. OSHA approved. Oops. Oh, yeah, don't do that. Don't delete things. And then one of the nice things about Sweep is you can actually generate mapping coordinates. And now all I need to do is do a UVW transform. And now I can just edit the transform values and get something that is passable. And I don't even have to open up the I don't have to open the UV editor. Like we just need like a stone, just a stone railing. That's all it is. Kubasqual 2 says, can't wait for Moss Book 2. I have one of the cool statues and she's a centerpiece on my desk. Oh, yes, you're a lucky one. The statue is so cool. Well, thank you for the kind words. We can't wait to get Moss Book 2 out to you. Yeah. Has Cube Dude asked, oh, yes, right. I'll refer you to what Polyarc the games just said. Lincoln Davis asks, what advice do you have for somebody just starting in the video game art world? Well, there's so many great resources out there to teach yourself. I think being proficient at you know, acquiring skills and growth in your free time is great. I mean, obviously, sometimes you don't always have a lot of free time if you're working, but if you can spend even just an hour a day doing tutorials, I keep it simple, obviously, as well. Like, that's one thing, maybe not obviously, but it can really be it can be a big motivation drainer when you're working on something and it's a big project that you're maybe excited about, but has so many steps and pieces that you get kind of like lose motivation and start to kind of doubt if you can do it. I've certainly been there with many projects. I still hit that even today. And so it's best to keep things small, bite-sized pieces. Try to be a part of a community as much as you can, whether that's, you know, in Discord groups that are game art related, or even, you know, taking digital classes and having digital classmates to compare notes and experiences and understandings of the source material together is always a great way to grow and learn. And then there's also like figure out what you want to do. Like find out what are you passionate about, and then try to steer yourself in that direction. Like find content that and that can be tough, right? Because it's like, I don't know much about the game industry. I don't know what I want to do. And then in that case, I would say you probably need to talk to somebody and just talk to a game developer somehow, or find an AMA, and just learn more about what kind of jobs are in the industry. But if you know you want to go into art, definitely showing that you can be that you can grow and learn new skills from the resources that are out there is a good place to start. This needs a few more edge loops. What do you think? It's looking a little bit too low poly. And I still don't like how thin it is in relationship to the thickness of this, but let's place some of the supports in, and maybe let's just place the supports in and let's move on. One thing we can't say. Right. Okay, so Lincoln Davis asks, what's the point of a Vista room in Moss? So the point of a Vista room is to, it's a pacing element, it's a narrative tool, it's a way for us to slow things down, to really get players to focus in on Quill and the space that they're in. And so we can use it in a variety of ways to really just control the flow, control the flow of the mission, control the flow of the combat and the story. Vista rooms are really important, and even though there's not a lot of gameplay in them, and players do progress through them pretty quick. How do you begin to feel when a piece is being overworked, or when you should keep going on it? Asks Gorilla705. It's kind of, I'm like hitting that point right now where I'm like, I just made this thing. It satisfies the goal of what I was trying to do, which is to reduce the scale of the railing and make Quill more visible. But now I'm not super happy with how it terminates into this part, and so it's like, I don't like that aspect of this new design that I built, but what I do like about it is kind of what I set out to do originally. So at this point, it's good. I'm going to go ahead and just export what I've got and move on, because there's a lot more to do in here. I might be able to just add the extra pieces in the editor, which would be nice. So we can get into the editor and start doing some work in there. And one of the things that I haven't done yet for this room is make some of the materials. So I will need to do that, unless I'm going to be able to just copy from another room. Let's see, what materials do you have in Mountains 30? Not the ones I want. 20, nope. 15. 7 perhaps? Here we go. And then mouse trims. Thank you, Mike, for making these shaders. You are a boss. And then I think it's, yeah, these. Yep. Sweet. And then these guys can actually get scaled up now. And there's a little bit of like Yeah, this isn't super great. Like the textile density, like the UVs on this you can see are much, much, much larger than the UVs on this. So that's something I'll come back and fix later. Not important to deal with right now, though. The most important thing is having a good time hanging out on the stream with all of our new friends and to show off how we make moss rooms. When do we add flames? Let's do it now. Why not? So I think if I can search for fire. What is that piece called? So it might be elsewhere in here. How do you keep track of vertex density? When I try to do low poly stuff, I struggle to keep the small things from looking overly detailed and keep the large things from looking too clunky. I keep track of vertex density by just looking at the vert counts. And I generally kind of have a, I think just over my career, I've kind of developed, I've been in the games industry for 10 years. And so I've just kind of developed a sense for when something is too high poly, and when something needs more geometry. But you know, it's you raise a tough, an interesting problem where I don't know what the it depends on your game, right? The solution all depends on your game. But I think having think of it like in a cubic meter, how many verts do you want in your game? And I think you can like kind of have a scale, right? Like the smallest scale, it's like maybe, you know, you've got 100 verts per cubic meter, and that's pretty, you know, that might be pretty detailed. But then like for your really big assets, you've got you know, 1 vert per 10 meters or something like that. Cool, Cube Dude, I'm glad you're digging it. That means that that means we can move on. Means we can keep on moving. But I really do need to find where that metal dish is at, or I'll just make one. I'll make a metal dish. That'll be super fast. Let's make a sphere. And then turn this into an editable poly so I can edit the geo. Like this much. Oh, this music is so epic. And then I'll put a shell on it. To give it some thickness. Oh, that's actually is what I wanted. How about 5? Maybe something like that. Whoops. Sometimes even knowing that I have to practice and there isn't a secret I'm missing is great. Totally. That's it'll feel that way for maybe forever. I don't know. Like I always feel like there's something missing. Maybe it's just because I forgot my wallet at home today or at the office. But no, I think that's it's an important reminder that I constantly have to remind myself so that we're always learning, and be kind to yourself. If you don't know how to do something, it's okay. There's always going to be stuff that you don't know how to do, and it's might seem impossible sometimes, but really the best way to overcome that is to not get discouraged. Take a break if you need to, but return to it every day if you can. An hour a day really is, I think, the best advice I've ever heard. It's also really hard to do. Feels like the great secret of any creative industry is that there aren't really any big secrets. It's just a matter of practice and putting in the effort and time. Well said. True that. Okay, so now let's make a new material for this. That will just be, we'll call this gold. Give it a yellow color. For real this time. And oh, it already is yellow. That's okay. I still need to assign a material to it so that the editor knows what shader to put on it. And then this is using the wrong trim material, so I need to, because when I imported it, it imported a material in the background. Naughty, naughty. Almost deleted Quill. Oops. Yeah, I think putting in the work daily helps build a habit. It helps build a familiarity, like a comfort, that I think like it just reduces the barrier to entry for me if I'm doing it daily. It's like going to the gym, you know. It's or any other thing that you you really should do, but you might not want to do it, right? So you always feel better after you do it. Okay, so we got this now, and I think I've got a gold trim that I can just slap on there. Flossing. My dentist asked me last time I flossed, and I was like, "Don't you remember? You were there." I saw that joke from Twitter. I can't claim that joke. Heyo. Metal trim. Let's try gold trim. Is that an old Bill Cosby joke? Okay, so that's where it's from. Okay. Now I know where it's from. That's good. I can actually like not steal someone's work. Really? Cosby is an outspoken Moss fan. That's surprising. I wouldn't take him for a VR gamer. Yep, okay. Yes. Gorilla, that's that's on point. Thank you for that joke. Let's see, where was I? Searching for this. Oh yeah. So apply that there. Actually, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. And then apply this one here. And now, oh wait. Yeah, now we need the gold. Gold trim. Tyrem. Gold Tyrim. Sounds like Gold Skyrim. Everybody's favorite video game, especially Todd. So now I'm just going to set the physics to be complex so that doesn't block her. Maybe up the light map resolution. This is all Todd's fault. I wonder what Todd actually thinks about his legendary status in the video game industry. His meme status. So yeah, so now we've got these braziers here. I think that's what's going on with these. So this feels pretty epic, right? It's a lot of nubbins. I might come back and trim some nubbins, but we got a cool silhouette nonetheless. And this will need a little polish, but I think for now we can move on. So thanks, Gorilla. Yeah, it's feeling pretty good. One thing that we can do right away. This is always such a crowd pleaser. It's just paint in some snow. That just always helps. Oh, wow. Nothing too intense. I'm just gonna kind of futz with it a little bit. Yeah, all of our shaders, at least many of our shaders, are vertex blended. We use a lot of material instances that, you know, all point to the same vertex blended material because it's so important. So important. One of the most important aspects of all environment art is understanding how height maps work and understanding how to use vertex blend shaders. Yeah, height map blend is great. This is a great material. If you really only need like, and I even fall into this trap sometimes of like, I'll work on a new stone, and it's like we already have the best stone. Like we've got a great looking stone. Why do we need more stone blocks? It's like, well, I just kind of felt like working on stone blocks. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, let's actually get some volume out of the, oh, actually, what I can do is I can start placing some snow clumps. That might be a good idea. I could start building the scene out. And it does look a little bit like dark down here. One of the first things to consider is, yeah, definitely made like 15 rocks, realize I only need like 3 or whatever. Yeah, you'll ship 1. You'll like make 15 rocks and then you'll actually only ship 1. So, okay. What do we want to do now? I think what I want to do is I want to build in a little bit of like a like snow buildup. That's one thing that really brings these scenes together is these snowy scenes is having that snow that just covers everything. Gonna just kind of blend in maybe a little bit more. I don't have a ton of verts in this mesh, so it's not going to paint super great. You're going to see these like splotches, but I'll polish that up later. Doesn't need to be perfect now, and player will never even see the backside, so I don't need to work on that. So yeah, one thing that's not really working yet for me is like, what are we doing here? You know, these buildings are kind of at the same height, so I think I probably want to like adjust these, just kind of build up the scene, make it look a little bit more interesting. We've got a lot of these really, oh, what the heck? We've got a lot of really cool pieces to use in this kit. So I'm just gonna start kind of kit bashing a little scene. Like maybe there's like a shed here. Oh, and another thing, I can't believe I didn't talk about this yet. This is obviously kind of messed up. Oh, would Quill pop out against the snowy stuff? That's a great question. I'll have to try and see it. I think this area is looking a little bit dark, so I probably will want to, you know, throw in some lights eventually. I'm not sure what that light source would be, though. Not sure what the light source would be, but I mean, at the very least, I know that we need to bring players' attention over to the this right side door, so we can at least just throw a light in there for now and just say that that's where we want players to look. Need to make sure I make it static, and where are the light components? Density, let's do 8's fine. Make it a little bigger. Ooh, a deeper color kind of looks interesting. Maybe it's a little more like red to kind of like... Yeah, maybe there's light coming from within. That could be really interesting, actually. Maybe it's like brighter on the inside, you know? Like, the castle's all lit up anyways, so it would make sense that there's more light on the inside. Yeah, this has been happening lately. I didn't really want to make a new light component. I just wanted to make another light. There we go. I can give this one... Do you make most of your kit first and then build or sort of create as you go? Yes, we do build a lot of the kit first. Early on in the project, whilst there's still a lot of things being figured out, art typically has a lot of downtime because we don't have rooms to finish. And so rooms to finish, or, you know, finished content to make in general. And so what we'll do is we'll try to get ahead by, usually at that point, there's a design document that has a list of all of the levels that the game director wants to have in the game. And so then we will look at that and be like, okay, cool. Looks like there's, you know, XYZ environment. There's a snowy environment in this case. And so we just got started making snow stuff. Spent between a month to 2 months just focused strictly on game art. So textures, models, shaders, substance files, you know, all of that kind of stuff, building out the kind of fundamentals. A lot of times people think modular game art means you're using the same wall everywhere. And that is one form of modularity, but modularity in game art a lot of times is just you're reusing the same pieces, whatever they are, shaders, stack meshes, effects, all that kind of stuff. And so really we've got our main palette modules are like these shaders that we can apply on a bunch of stuff, and then we layer pieces on top of that to get the custom look that we are going for any particular space. I'm just realizing this bridge is not lined up. That is really gonna bother me. Hold the phone. Drop everything. Does Polyarc ever use Cinema 4D? I don't, and I don't think any of the artists do. But I mean, if you can export an FBX or an OBJ out of Cinema 4D, there's no reason why you couldn't use it for game development. I use Max because I started as an architecture student, and so I learned how to draft. And so my brain just kind of works in like a drafting sort of way. Like I want to be able to, did I adjust this? I want to be able to have like precise control over the lines and the verts. I'm not a very good painter or drawer. I'm maybe a little more technical. And so I just love the precision of 3ds Max. 3ds Max was a drafting program back in the day. And so like when I'm using splines and using sweep and all that kind of stuff, that's like a drafting workflow. that it works for me. It works really well for architectural modeling, and it works really well for using environment trims that are tiling. Thanks for checking this out, BlitzVR. Really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought, but yeah, 3ds Max drafting. I love it. It's good stuff. So now Max will import it. Oh, I accidentally got Quill in my export. Whoops. Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, I missed the... Oh, these things are not in the file. That's right. See, here's why you don't add details before things are done. But that was fine, no problem. Okay, so I think one of the things that I really like about this view is the creek going up to the right, kind of like this snowbank banking off to the left. I think I want another snowbank back there. So I'm gonna really quickly just throw in like a very basic pile shape. Let's see. Dirt pile 0, 0. And I'm gonna scale it way, way up because it's a Skybox asset. I'm gonna stick that sucker right out there. And let's give it that snow shader. And unfortunately, I was mentioning before, we use static lighting for Moss, and most VR games do because dynamic lighting is so expensive. We're not really going to be able to see what this truly looks like to the player until I build lighting, and I'm not going to build lighting today on stream just because it's going to tank my PC. So unfortunately, we won't see the full finished product today, but maybe we can do another one and you guys can see what it looks like with baked lights. Yep, so I want that back there, and we had some bushes too. Let's add some bushes in the background. Vegetation adds a lot of scale to the scene. Sometimes when you just have snow, you can kind of get lost in the details, or not in the details. You get lost in like the details get lost with so much just white everywhere. So just getting a little bit of pop of some plants. And then I can start throwing more of these guys around. I'm just gonna drag in a bunch. Then I'm gonna play with them. And these are low poly versions, I believe. Yeah, and I think what I want to do is I want to replace some of these with higher poly versions. Like these close ones. I think that one can probably stay low. Oh, I'm placing everything in the lighting level. Whoops. I should probably check it out, huh? That would be good. So this is that kit I was talking about before. Oh, Samrux. Smirks. Hey, what's up? Game is looking rad already. Can't wait to play it. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming and checking out the stream. This is so cool. It's a colleague of mine colleague and friend from Bungie. Yeah, I'm trying to keep track of the stream. Oh, Thad's here too. Hey, Thad. Getting a little bit lost in the art. Oh, cool. Yeah, Gorilla used to be at Bungie as well. That's cool. So you worked with Josh and Barton and Eon on AI design stuff. Oh, awesome. Very cool. That's really fun. You don't happen to work at Respawn right now, do you? Ah, well, congrats. I mean, Apex Legends is a pretty awesome game, I gotta say. I think I'll go ahead and say it. Apex Legends was the best multiplayer shooter experience I've ever had, I think. It was so fun that I had to stop playing because I thought I was going to have a heart attack. My heart was beating so hard. It was like, this is bad for my health. I got to take care of myself. Okay, another thing that I wanted to do in here is I wanted to add some little bit of storytelling. That's a great game, so you guys, you deserve it. Very, very, very fun game. I love Titanfall too, so like for me it was, oof, it was heaven. Yeah, so now what I want to do is, so you know, one thing I was going to talk about a little bit was this area is obviously looking pretty beat up. I won't go into too much of what happened, but clearly something bad has happened in this place, and whatever happened here definitely seemed to happen around this area. And so I think what I'm going to do is imply some sort of crisis by putting some carts and having more evidence of like maybe people were trying to get into the castle to safety or something. So something along those lines might be fun. I'm not sure where those are though. Got characters here. They're probably in the next room. No breakables in here. Where'd all them dang breakables go? Wow, this looks great. Whoever worked on this part, kudos. Ugh. Steel. Yoink. Moss is my favorite VR game, so I'm also a huge fan. Moss is pretty darn good, gotta say. It's yeah. And I can say Moss is great because I didn't work on it. How many team members are working on this project? Ballpark estimate. Well, I think we've got about 35 people at the company, and there's a lot of people working on Moss right now, so I want to say like maybe 20-ish people working on Moss. Bigger staff than book one. Yes, much bigger. And yes, small team dream for sure. It's pretty great. I do enjoy it. There are some things that are certainly more challenging on a small team. Like we don't have a QA department, so testing is largely on us, which is cool. I actually don't mind that at all. I like it. Our playtest process at Bungie was great. We had really good testers. It was we were pampered, no doubt. So kind of being able to share that experience here has been fun. I just love this like little river. Like, what would they do? I feel like we need a boardwalk, guys. We need a boardwalk. That's what this needs. We need some environmental storytelling. We need, like, imagine this is your house. This is where you live. Like, this is prime real estate. Yes, for fishing and commerce. And brunch. I think I just heard Chris. Hopefully he was laughing at me. So yeah, let's we got to make sure Quill can't go out there, or do we? Okay, let's see here. Yep, mountains, architecture. Group this. I need to start using more groups. These should all be groups. Yes. Yeah, at the bistro, the avocado toast is fire. But you gotta get there early. We're using a lot of language of platforms in this area being walkable surfaces, so I am a little bit wary. Maybe I need to make it clear that the player can't reach this area, or make it so that they can reach it and it doesn't break the level. And I just don't think I'm going to be able to make them be able to reach it without breaking the level. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make it like collapsed in the background. But just give it some, like, they would have patios and such. So let's represent that before moving on into anything else. Maybe it's like coming out of the foundation a little bit, maybe. I can just put like this under it. And then put a door in the wall. Where are doors? And this will help with the scale too. Having like mouse size elements out here. My Shift 5 Vertex Paint, thank you. Would love to watch more, but it's getting late in Europe. Thanks so much for giving us a peek into the development of Moss 2. Super interesting stuff. Really can't wait for it to come out. Good luck to the team. Thank you so much, Kubla Squall. Really appreciate you. Good night for those in Europe. Thanks for tuning in. An abandoned Circuit City hidden in the snow. And it's full of iPod shuffles. And DVD box sets of the Ali G show. I'll take 12. Yeah, I've got so much music, I need 12 iPod shuffles. That's just how it goes. Little balcony there. Yeah, you gotta get that little sock, the iPod shuffle sock, that immediately gets dirty. Like, what a weird time. I mean, it was great, but the fads of yesteryear. Yes, hell yes. Okay, now let's actually add that snowy stuff that I was talking about. I'm gonna add some snow crumples. And this is just going to be a really quick approximation. What I will do, and maybe we'll save this for another stream, maybe not, I don't know, can't commit to anything yet, but it would be cool to finish this out and continue working on this content, but we are running up to the scheduled time for the stream, so I will be, we'll be logging off in a little bit, but it's been super fun to just kind of chill and work on this level and chat about Moss. I've had a lot of fun, so, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed it and maybe learned something. So, thanks for popping in, Smirks. Good to see you. Thanks, Gorilla, for checking it out. Cube Dude, thanks for hanging out. Star Catalyst. The Neo JP, thank you for watching and tuning in. For sure. So yeah, I'm going to transition over to our fancy stream overlay here. So yeah, that has been our first Polyarc dev stream. We've been working on a level here in the mountains level, made a little bit of progress on the bridge, and started working on the background. And I'm going to continue that work and hopefully see all of you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching and just being a supporter of our work. It means the world to us. So we love being able to do this and hope to be able to do more of it in the future. So thanks a lot and catch you next time. Bye.